Thanks.
Good.
I love your sweater. I love your sweater.
Thank you. It's new. Thank you.
It's cool.
I think blue works for me. Maybe.
Thank you for telling me that it's blue.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. What color did you think it was? I forgot
Well,
about.
I thought it was. I thought it was, but then I thought, man, she might say it's lavender, or she might say it's some kind of like purple thing that I can't.
It was baby blue.
You could wear that sweater to do holy work.
That's good.
Okay,
I've got like a dozen T-shirts I could do that with too.
Yes.
Holy work.
Yeah.
I was thinking on a funny note, the Bible Project, because the idea that we're reading the Bible incorrectly. I thought I have tried to read through the Bible in a year, probably 22 times, and I've never done it. And I'm like, now I can do it right. I can.
Yeah.
I didn't spend a year reading it wrong.
Just a quick thing that has immediate application to what we're talking about. One of so Tim offers a couple of practical suggestions for how we can begin to enter into reading the Bible differently. And one thing that he suggests, he said, most Christians engage the Bible by either their own kind of like private reading of it. They'll have devotions 20 minutes a day or maybe something like that. And they're reading a few verses at a time. Or, they encounter it in their places of worship, church, right? It's a sermon, right? But he said, even if you listen to a sermon that's anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes, he says, most of what you're hearing is not the scripture. You're hearing, 4 minutes of scripture, and then you're hearing the rest about some exposition of the scripture. He said, one of the ways to begin to practice reading the Bible the way the Bible was written and the way those who wrote the Bible would have read the Bible, he said, would be to plan on, 2 or 3 times a week, plan on reading the Bible for an hour. Sit down and like take a chunk and just read as much, like read the entire Gospel of Mark, and then read it again, and then read it again. Or take the first 11 chapters of Genesis and just read them straight through, large chunks of the scripture.
Or Revelations.
And then he says, and the other thing to do, which I thought was really cool, I heard that comment about Revelation, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah. Is, he said, think about gathering some friends and spend an evening, plan on, you're going to read the Bible out loud with each other. And so like, you're going to get your group of friends and you're going to read the Gospel of Mark. And you're just going to read the whole thing straight through in the course of an evening. And that whole notion of it being orally read. So the first thing is that you're reading large chunks of it, and then you're reading it to each other. And here's what struck me about that. Like, oh my gosh. You get a text from somebody. And you have the option of saying like, oh, I'll text them later. How infrequently anymore when somebody texts us do we just call them? No, because the text gives me much more control over things, and I don't have to enter into a conversation with them. I mean, perhaps been on the receiving end of this on a couple of occasions. You have too, Amy. Like I just call you.
Like, hey, wait a minute. I texted you.
I'm putting up with it. I can't do this. I can't do this now. I'm just going to call you. And Pat never answers. And so like, that's not true. Okay. Yeah. So, but this notion that like, we just have these kind of fly by night, this passing like oblique connection with each other.
Right.
And in the same way, this is kind of what evil counts on. Evil counts on me. You ask me, how am I doing? I say, yeah, I'm doing pretty well. How are you?
I'm good. It's
just this very quick, superficial interaction, which is kind of like reading my Bible for 20 minutes in the morning, reading a certain section of it. A very, like 10 verses in the first chapter of Mark or whatever. But the whole point being that like, if I were to read large swaths of it, or if I were to gather my friends and say, we're going to read the entire book of Mark together out loud, it's like the three of us sitting down and having 90 minutes together where we are going to tell our stories at length and in depth. And it is in the like when you only get snippets of me, you don't really get the story of me as it really is. And when we do this with the Bible, we don't get the story as it really is, nor as it was intended to be gotten. And in that sense, I'm like, oh my gosh, like even the way the Bible is written is a reflection of and an invitation to how God also wants me to live my life with you.
Yeah.
I don't want you to be a collection of snippets that I get, 30 seconds here, 30 seconds there. I don't just want the phone call. Like I want coffee, on the porch for 2 hours. So,
yeah, that's
so I just understand. I just want to let you know flights are cheap to the East Coast these days. So,
I got to get on that.
All right. Okay. That's a lot of yapping. Sorry.
No, that was good. Okay. The thing that really struck me, okay, Carol Dweck. And so I was thinking as you guys were talking, so the idea is our greatest purpose and our greatest joy is to create beauty. And so that is a placeholder. Then like the idea of, the pressure to get it right is so debilitating, or can be so debilitating. And then like A for effort and a participation award, it's always like, really? That's what I get, is a participation award. But it's like okay, so what I've learned, and it took me a long time.
How'd Amy do? Well, I'm pretty sure her heart was beating in class.
She showed up.
She stayed upright in her chair.
She was on time.
Ah.
But what I've learned is like, even it took me a long time to, if I have a project, and like now the more that I'm embarking on scary and exciting and life-giving things, it's like, okay, I don't know. And if I tell myself I need to spend an hour on this, then it is vastly different than if I tell myself I need to do this, I need to accomplish this task. Because then accomplish this task, there's so much pressure to get it done.
Got it. Yeah.
And if I spend an hour, it's like I can just feel the pressure lift. And it's like, and then we accidentally create beauty and goodness because, I want to read one line because I'll misquote it, but it's where it's on page 164. And I'm going to start in the middle of a sentence, but it's talking about relieving the pressure, and it enables the students to freely do their work and turn their attention away from failure and shame. And it's like, we can't not create beauty and goodness.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. It does. I think also this idea of acknowledging someone's hard work. Yes, when someone does really well, we want to say, you did really well, obviously, but that's not really saying that you see them and you know them as much as when you see them toiling and you recognize that to them, that person can then feel more known than just being, praised and acknowledged for what they accomplished.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you see this all the time with people who are really gifted, where in which, they're gifted. And so, they do well and then it doesn't feel like they're putting in much effort. And there is a sense in which the praise that they get for the accomplishment, they intuitively get that there's something off about this. That I'm getting praise for something that really didn't, if I've got a photographic memory and I'm just making straight A's, I'm able to do that. And somebody says, oh my gosh, you're just so smart. You're like, like, because what we really are longing for is connection when it's hard for us to do the work.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know if we talked about this before, but in Malcolm Gladwell's book, David and Goliath.
Hmm.
He has a chapter where it's titled something like, you wouldn't wish dyslexia on your children, or would you? And he cites all of these different people who, because they had to overcome something in their youth and work that much harder, were that much more successful later on in life than those people who, like you said, who are necessarily just gifted and can skate through. Yeah.
Well, and it's the hard work that we have control over, right? We have less control over what we actually accomplish. Like
my high school senior just the other day said, and she works really hard, and she has overcome some things, as you both know. And she said the other day, getting good grades is not that difficult. It's all about just working really hard.
Yeah.
It's just working really hard.
Listen to that. Wow.
Yeah. And she does work really, really hard. And I need to acknowledge that probably more than I do. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not like she doesn't see hard work in her house.
Right.
Because I mean, like, okay, so for our viewing audience now, and also for our listeners, but for our viewing audience, we started this recording, and we did a little advertising spot for something, but we didn't have it mapped out ahead of time, and so we were just kind of doing this on the fly, and I was kind of like you were leading that charge. And you started it a couple of times, and each time, like, you paused, and I'm like, okay, we're not getting this exactly the way Pepper wants it. And then you paused, then you waited, and you started again, so forth. And like as we said before, I was just like watching in amazement, because I felt like I was watching a master craftsman not be perfect the very first time he did it. But I was watching a master craftsman when he recognized, no, I don't like that. Pause. We're going to come back and do that work again, and do that work again, comfortably, confidently, just waiting. And in my head, I'm thinking, like, this is what 30 years worth of work,
working hard,
of hard work does. It doesn't create somebody who's always perfect all the time. It creates someone who, when things aren't exactly what he wants them to do, with comfort and confidence, he pauses and then starts again.
Yeah.
And then starts again. And then eventually, like, we're off and running. And it was inspiring. And I'm not making this up at all. Like, it was inspiring to be in those first, like, 60 seconds or whatever it was that we were kind of, getting the rocket off the launch pad to do the spot.
Hour and a half.
Wow. Okay.
I kid.
Okay, Amy is in the house.
Hey, she's fair game now. That's all I got.
I'm telling you.
Oh yeah, because before I was you both tempered yourself. Yeah.
To our viewing audience, like, you might be aware that we've got a little thing coming up here in October, and we're all going to be there. We're all going to be there, and Amy's going to be there, and like, we are going to have, like, you never have so much fun at somebody's expense like you do at a live show.
That's right. Especially in the beginning when she's not allowed to talk.
I know, it's going to be so awesome.
I haven't booked my flight yet. Yeah,
that's right.
But it's true, Kurt. To your point, like, Pep, your kids, they see the hard work, right? And you model that.
Yeah,
you're a model.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
This was great.
Thanks for this.
Great.
Yeah.
All right. See you next time around.
Next week.
Next time.
All right.